As a general rule, the most successful man in life is the man who has the best information. That is a quote from Benjamin Disraeli, a 19th century Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I think everyone would agree that a home inspection is something that is quite valuable. However, as a realtor, we've noticed that in tight markets where there's a lot of competition for a limited supply, the offers that win usually have the least amount of conditions, most likely zero. And one of the conditions that is typically given up is that of a home inspection. Today, I'm here to interview a home inspector, a key member of the real estate investors team, who will speak to the value of having a home inspection. Just think, spending as little as $450 to $600 on a home inspection could yield a huge value to you as an investor with regards to potential issues and focusing on understanding the property that you are purchasing. Today, Jamie Jarvie of A Buyer's Choice Home Inspections will join me. Jamie is a CPI and he is a 5-star Google-rated home inspector. Oh, and did I mention Jamie is also a July award winner for A Buyer's Choice Home Inspections. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us here today on the Real Estate with Nicole podcast.
Sure. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for making me sound so good. It's definitely a busy summer in my parts here and in my areas. It's great to see that people are getting interested in home inspections again. And what can I say? I'm available.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie, for that. So for your intro, I used the acronym CPI. Mm-hmm. So before we go any further, can you explain what this stands for and what it means?
Sure.
I want to make sure that we all are on the same page.
Yeah, well, certified professional inspector is someone who is certified because they've done certain training up to a standard. And, basically they're going to follow the standard of practice set out by a professional organization like NACHI or OHI, those kinds of organizations.
And what kind of training does that entail in just to give people a little bit of flavor?
Well, you're going to go over all the different systems within the house, everything from roofing to structure to foundation, electrical, looking up in the attic, of course, all the appliances, your heat, your hot water, your plumbing. And then, so you're doing a lot of sections on these studies. And then you also do a degree of field training once your studies are complete.
Awesome. Thank you. So you have that technical expertise in addition to hands-on training and not just going out into the field and testing it out.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay. I love following your Instagram page because you have these photos of really interesting things that home inspectors look at and findings. However, one thing really stood out to me this summer, and that was related to the Fiddle Park in Shelburne Music Jam and the giveaway. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Well, because it was Fiddle Park in Shelburne and I knew it had a big history of music, and so do I decided my giveaway would be involving music. So I had people come and do some hands-on things, just as you mentioned that an inspector would. So we had drums, we had ukuleles, we were singing, having a lot of fun. And then, of course, I had a draw. People would just like my page or whatnot. And I gave away a drum, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So you heard that. Not only can Jamie provide high quality inspections, but he can give you some musical diversion along with that as well.
That's right.
So thanks for sharing that, Jamie. Okay, let's get into more the technical aspects of a home inspection. As an investor, it is important to have obtain a home inspection, I believe, because you're making a really large investment, and understanding the condition of the property that you are investing in helps you to make decisions that are related to that property and ultimately the maintenance of the property. So, Jamie, given that, in my opinion, it is important. What does a typical home inspection include? Like, what do you do? Give us a little bit more detail.
Well, when I first get there, I'll usually go up on the roof if it's a nice day and it's a low roof, like a bungalow. If not, if it's a higher roof and it's more sloped, then we'll use our drones usually, and just get an idea of what the roof is like, the shingles, the eaves trough, and the siding and fascia. And then we'll take a tour around the outside of the house and just note anything and everything from the lots and grounds of the driveway, walkway, porch, the condition of the deck, the grading, making sure everything's moving away from the house as far as if moisture comes down to the side of the house. That's an important component. And then, of course, any electrical fixtures, lighting fixtures, outlets that are on the outside of the house, we'll check those out as well. And then we get into the garage and right on inside the home.
Okay. So that was kind of like the exterior, taking a really good look at the exterior. So when you get now into the interior of the home, I know you kind of gave us a high level overview in terms of the training, but what kind of things do you look for? What kinds of things do you see sometimes? Give us a little bit more with regards to that.
Well, between the outside of the home, the foundation, and going into the basement and seeing what's happening on the inside of the home and on the inner part of the foundation, looking at moisture, and even right when you get into a basement, if you can almost smell sometimes that there's some dampness, some moisture there. And so we start to check out those kinds of things. We get our infrared scanners out, we get our moisture meters out, and have a good look at that kind of thing. We can't get through walls, but we can tell an awful lot just by using some of our senses. And while we're in the basement, we spend even more time down there doing things like looking at the furnace, the electrical panel, the laundry, and then if there's bathrooms down there, we'll check into those as well, make sure the plumbing's working, there's no leaks anywhere. Again, keeping moisture away from your home is probably a number one priority.
Okay, so that's what you look for. One of the key items that you look for is that moisture and potential hazards. Okay, so now, we've taken a look at the basement. What about homes where there is a second unit dwelling in the basement? Do you look at any other things related to that when you do that inspection?
Yeah, I mean, as far as if there's another kitchen, if there's proper lighting, proper egress window for people to get out of, if it's a legal basement apartment, that kind of thing. Just the subfloor, if we can see it, for staining, for leaks, for mold, that kind of thing as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. So in terms of now that we've gone through the exterior of the home, moisture was a key factor, one of the things that we were looking for. We've gone to the basement again. Moisture was at top of the list in terms of what to look for. And second unit dwellings, ensuring that appropriate egress in addition to moisture and those key elements. So now we get up to the main floors, the first and second floor of the home. What are the types of things that you look for here and your focus?
Again, checking out all the electrical panels, the outlets in the walls, checking out the windows, making sure they're operational. And I guess something I didn't mention was smoke detectors, something that we all take for granted. But a lot of safety features are things that we look for as well. You mentioned somebody that wants to invest, possibly own a property and rent it out. They want to make sure that the back deck is not going to fall off the side of the building, that all the smoke detectors are up to date. Electrical outlets are wired correctly. Yeah, so there's a lot of those issues. Hand railings are secure. All through the house, we're always keeping an eye out for those kinds of things. And then, of course, your appliances, making sure they're all functioning at a level of, the oven's heating up, the refrigerator's doing its job, and the freezer as well, and the dishwasher. So we'll take, checks of all those appliances in the kitchen as well.
Okay.
And even make some suggestions for improvements and maintenance tips. Maintenance tips like clean the coils behind your refrigerator just to help it be more efficient. Maybe improve your outlets in the kitchen near water to GFCI outlets, ground faults, so that you don't become the fault if there's an electrical short.
Exactly. No, that's excellent. So in terms of once you're completing that inspection, providing that detailed report, comprehensive report of your findings. So bringing me to, you've completed this home inspection. So is the home inspection a pass or a fail kind of thing? Like, tell us a little bit more.
No, it's not. A lot of people ask, is this up to code? That's one we get all the time. And again, it's not to be confused with the building inspector that, might work for municipalities. And codes change all the time. And that's why it's not something that we are keeping up with. We're getting a snapshot on the day of that we're there for possible issues and some suggestions on how to improve and maintain your home. And in the report, we have not a pass-fail, but we do have different levels. And with a buyer's choice, we will color code things. And in the summary that the realtor will get right away is the red ticket items that you might say. The bigger things, the safety things. I mean, it might be that a smoke detector is outdated and they think, well, that's a $50 smoke detector. Why are you putting that in the summary? I said, well, it could be a lot bigger ticket item if there's an issue with it. And it's just to remind people once the dust settles and they've moved in to go back and look at that report, because it's a maintenance guide for them. It can be 50, 60, 70 pages, depending on, like you said, if there's an apartment in the basement and there's, different appliances and what have you, saunas, hot tubs, who knows what. So there's a lot to unwrap. And beyond the summary, there's also then maintenance tips, and buyer's choice will put the maintenance tips in green, change the filter in the furnace every 3 months, that kind of thing. And then the blue is the improvements. The blue comments are just sort of things that you may want to repair, but it's not an urgent thing.
Got it. And then things that are, say, orange or red?
Yeah. Red is usually in the summary, and those are things that we'll use words like immediately, and we'll say things like get a professional, qualified professional, not a DIY do-it-yourselfer to do the repair.
Excellent. And that's a critical component to think about, because when, I think of it this way: to get a home inspection or to not get a home inspection? That is the question. I think that has been something that has been percolating over the past little while, where we've seen a lot of multiple offer situations and people wanting to get the home. They've decided to forego a home inspection, and, only to turn out that, there was an issue that was with the home that was $50,000 that they probably could have assessed or known about before they actually purchased the property. So it's important to kind of have that knowledge of what is the condition of your property when you're putting in that offer.
Yeah, and sorry, just to speak to that, there's lots of different ways around competitive marketing and bidding wars and that kind of thing, where you can suggest through your agents, hey, what if we ask the inspector to come before the deadline for the offers? So at least we know what we're dealing with, and then we can make an appropriate offer and then have no conditions, because we've already had the inspection. It doesn't have to be part of the condition. Also, from a seller's standpoint, doing a pre-listing inspection is something that we also do. As much as we say that we're a buyer's choice, we will do pre-listing inspections for people so they can have that available on the coffee table. It's not to take home or anything, but it is just something, a snapshot again of the home, and it gives them an idea of a few things they might want to fix up before they actually put it on the market.
No, that's excellent. And I've seen that quite often, and it does allay some concerns for prospective buyers when they do see that pre-inspection, pre-sale inspection. So that's great. So you bring me to kind of another point. So we see, it's called a buyer's choice home inspections, and we're talking about sellers and buyers here. But are home inspections done for other reasons and for other situations? And if so, can you give us some?
Sometimes people will want an aftermarket a home inspection or maintenance inspection, if you will, because maybe they didn't get one, or it's been a few years and they just want to see what things they can do. A lot of people will call it the honey-do list, and it's now something that they can focus on each season and say, okay, this time we're going to, upgrade the air conditioner, or we're going to change the hose bib outside that's been leaking all summer. Or build up the grading away from the house because we haven't done that yet, or fix the knockouts in the electrical panel. So there's different things that they can get those done for. Sometimes insurance companies want them. If a house has aluminum wiring, for example, and it's been recommended on the home inspection, then they can now get an electrician in there to say whether or not it's okay that they can have the aluminum wiring, or what percentage of it needs to be adjusted, fixed, maintained, that kind of thing.
Okay. And what about environmental aspects, or inspections from an environmental perspective?
Well, there's things through our company that you can get air quality checks. I will, on any inspection, often recommend, possibility of vermiculite in the attic ceiling, the attic insulation.
Mm-hmm.
Might want to get that looked at. Air quality tests that, because we might have suspected mold, that kind of thing, somewhere in the house. So these are additional things that you can take part in.
And then, I've heard radon is now an item that is measured. Can you give us a little bit more information in terms of, that situation?
Sure. Well, it comes from uranium in the earth, and it's gas that comes through our houses in the openings. And oftentimes, because we have such concealed, closed homes that aren't getting a lot of airflow, sometimes these things seep in, and the radon levels can be quite high, and they are deemed carcinogenic at a certain level. Mm-hmm. And the parts per million that they recommend for getting things looked at, are about 200 parts per million in Canada. And if a house is somewhere in that neighborhood of that rate, when we do a little radon check during our inspection, mm-hmm. if they've requested that, that's something we'll put in the report as well. Recommend that they do further testing, because an hour or two with our testing equipment is not necessarily long enough. Want to do for a whole weekend, maybe.
Right. Just to it's more like a sense check to see where the house sits, and then what do we need to do next. Okay. And, I know we've been talking about now the technical aspects of the home inspection and what's done, and, potential items that you could add to the list for your home inspection. But one question is, should I, as a buyer or a seller, be present during that home inspection?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just getting a 50, 60 page report is overwhelming for anybody. And, if we've already talked through it because you've been on the premises, at least you don't have to follow me every minute, but, definitely available. And typically what I'll do is try and get around the outside of the home. And like I said, do the roof, before sometimes the owner or its prospective buyer is available, before they show up for the appointment. And then talk them through what I've found so far. And then once we go inside, we're not taking too much time of the homeowner's personal space inside, whether they're there or they leave. And then I go floor by floor. Basically, I do the basement and say, okay, I found this, found that. And then first floor, and then upstairs in the attic. And we can sort of reconvene each time while they're measuring for beds and things in the house. And they can always come and ask me questions. Hey, did you notice this? Or what about that leak in that corner there? Or this stain on the ceiling? And we can talk about it. So it doesn't just appear in a big long report that they're overwhelmed and now they run for the hills and think that this house is just falling apart.
I thank you for saying that, because I really highly recommend that you go and attend the home inspection. I've been on several, and just from an educational perspective, you learn so much in terms of what exists, what inspectors look at, and what you should look at as a homeowner or a property owner, an investor, in terms of maintaining your home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep in mind, you only have a couple hours of our time, because
Yes.
It can get overwhelming and we can get into long discussions, and most home inspectors I know love to talk. So we have to also keep track of our time.
Awesome. All right. So on your website, 3 words stuck out to me: assist, comfort, and protect.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a little bit more information on that from a buyer's choice home inspections perspective?
Sure. Well, this has to do with basically all the parties involved, which can be the real estate agents on both sides, the ones representing the buyer and the one representing the seller, and of course the client, whichever one you might be working for. And that's where you're assisting them knowing more about their home, whether they're buying or selling, and then just giving them some comfort that it's going to be okay, and how to protect them, the safety issues that come up, as well as protecting the parties involved, is saying, well, he said, she said, that can come off the wall now, or off the page rather, when we've got some things in writing.
Excellent. Is there anything else you would like to add, Jamie, that I didn't cover that you think is critical for an investor?
A recall check is something I always like to brag about, because it's an extra service we provide, no extra charge. And it's kind of cool because we take the serial numbers and models of all your appliances, and houses can have like 8, 10, 12 appliances. And especially when you get into ones that have separate living dwellings, apartments with an extra kitchen and whatnot. And what Recall Check does, it's just very sort of passive, but every month you get a statement saying there's 0 recalls this month, or 1 recall, and it may be on this list of several millions that they look at all the time. And as you buy new appliances and replace appliances, you can continue to enter in the model and serial numbers of those new items, and then it just starts to track that for you in case there's any recalls as well, as long as you own the home.
That's excellent. And that's kind of an additional comfort that you're providing to the investor or the homeowner.
Yeah. Well, and I also come with that comfort because as long as you own the home and have done your inspection, then I'm also going to provide some assistance. If you call me up and say, this is wrong, or something's happened here, what do you recommend? Or, do you know a good contractor?
Awesome. Jamie's the man. So Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today the importance of using a certified professional inspector, and sharing with us your experience.
My pleasure. Thanks, Nicole.
Including a home inspector on your team is a prudent step to help you get to know your property. It's an investment that often pays off the moment an inspection happens. 1, it assists you during an integral part of the real estate transaction. 2, it provides comfort through a non-invasive inspection to provide confidence in the real estate investment. And 3, it protects all parties involved via professionalism, comprehensive errors and omissions insurance, and a detailed report. Like what you hear? Follow us on your favorite podcast app today. Leave a rating and a review. I would like to recognize the efforts of my producer, Stories and Strategies, for their great work. One last thing you can do for us is to share this episode with one friend. Thank you.